Two time for the cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Rockin' with the best, cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Alaila with cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. What's my body, cha-cha gang.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and members of the Cha-Cha Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Cha-Cha Let's Talk Music series on the Cha-Cha Music Review podcast, which is being brought to you by Absolute Media. My name is Hafeestonova, aka your musical blog creator of the Energy Force. I get to do it here now. I get to bring interesting guests and we get to talk about everything and anything that is music related. And without wasting much of your time, let me allow my guest to introduce himself.
Hi guys, my name is Motolani Alake. I am an editor at Pulse Nigeria. I'm a journalist. I'm a lawyer. I also handle partnerships and I head the podcast network at Pulse Nigeria. I'm a music lover, in case you were wondering. I just love music. That's basically who I am. Thank you very much for having me here, please.
Thank you very much for being here, Motolani. What we are going to be saying here is just going to be fact only and your emotion might get hurt. So, Biko, don't say I did not give you money before we get started.
Please let them listen. Please listen. I like when your emotions are hot and you come to my DMs and my mentions to cry. It gives you great joy because I know that you are ignorant. I know that they are ignorant. So I like when making them cry in their ignorance. It gives me joy. I'm sorry.
All right, no problem. Everybody can listen. But just remember, it's going to be fact only here on the Cha-Cha Let's Talk Music series. All right, without wasting much time, let's go into it. We'll be talking about the Nigerian music industry, and how am I going to put this now? And seeking international validation. Why is it so important that, most especially in recent years, about 4 or 5 years, the Nigerian music scene is seeking so much international validation? Why is that important to our music?
It's not a thing that started over the last years. Yes. This is not the first time that Nigerian artists have been to the world, quote unquote, whatever the world means. Everybody says the world now to encapsulate the reality of anything that's not Africa, especially Europe and the Americas. I don't think anybody's talking about Asia when they're talking about the world. Even though Asia is another huge market that someone should be thinking about entering. So Nigerian artists have always been signed to foreign record labels, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. So the big chief of all was in 81 or 82 after Bob Marley died. Island Records, if I'm not mistaken, tried to make Sunny Ade, like Bob Marley died, they tried to make Sunny Ade his replacement on that label as the flagship artist from third world countries, but it didn't work out. Still, released 2 fantastic albums back to back, got placements on Billboard 200, got Grammy nominations with Udu in the 90s and all that. But by the 90s, military rule happened, and a lot of things happened, and Nigerian record labels the majors have to act to leave Nigeria because it wasn't friendly anymore, it wasn't conducive anymore, everything was fucked up. But at the same time, around that time, say when the elections were annulled in 93, around the time, America was also witnessing a renaissance in their pop culture. 60s, 70s, 40s, 50s, 60s, where that was the era of rock and roll, the boom of rock and roll. Funk had some things to do in that era as well. You had jazz doing some things at the time as well. But by the 70s and the 80s, things that started on plantation as as African praise singers on plantations. You know what praise singers are? So praise singers are the guys that go, so that's themed to be the origin of hip hop. So by the 90s, early 90s, you had 3 albums or 4 albums drop back to back. You had Illmatic drop, you had the Chronic drop by Dr. Dre, you had Snoop's debut album drop. So those 3 albums just changed a lot of things. Not just those albums, but in terms of commercial success, those albums changed a lot of things for hip hop. But around the time, so R&B started to come up as well. So hip hop and R&B had their eras in the 90s. But by the time we get apartheid, genres have their eras and they sort of lapse, genres lapse, especially in America. So around 98, you had the first wave of Caribbean music break through the American mainstream. People like the Fugees jumping on Caribbean-esque music to do things. And you had people like Carlos Santana, Gloria Estefan, from Latin America, having incredible runs in America. But before we get to that, let's even talk about the fact that America is a multicultural hub where a lot of things overlap to create what they know as pop culture. So America is built to feed on things. So let's go back to where we were in the late 90s. In the late 90s, hip hop, Latin pop and dancehall had their run. But by the early 2000s, that was where everything just exploded. Hip hop and R&B were still blowing up, but reggaeton and dancehall music exploded in the early 90s. Like you had all this Daddy Yankee, Kevin Little, all these other people, Sean Paul, all of these people exploded. Shakira as well. Even though Shakira's greatest success came in like 2005, 2006. So Latin pop and dancehall had their era. Then in around 2006, you had K-pop. America tried to feed on K-pop for the first time. So people like Teriyaki Boys, a lot of other bands tried to jump over they tried to bring them into America, but it was way harder at the time to do it. So then in the late 90s as well, American pop music, like people like Britney Spears, Celine Dion, like in America, pop music also blew up. I think Britney Spears' debut album sold about 25 million copies, which is crazy. So, but that sound elapsed, and then it came back around the late 2000s as something different. So the sound that you get is something that Red One created with Lady Gaga, infused with Eastern European dance music. So if you hear a song like On the Floor by Jennifer Lopez, it sounds very Eastern European, produced by Red One. It's crazy, right? So all they did is they did that Eastern European music. Then early 2010s, dancehall, K-pop made a huge splash with Gangnam Style, right? And then Latin pop music came back with the era of the Despacito. So it's basically was clear that Africa was the only place that these guys hadn't touched. They had touched Asia, they had touched Australia, they had touched everywhere. Africa was just the only way, and they had to make it work. And it wasn't their fault because Africa was dysfunctional. So if you are taking African artists out of Africa, how can you monetize them back at home? So, but now it's easier to try to break African artists stateside because you know that you're going to be making some money here, not just because you are trying to make money outside, because internet penetration is increasing, things are getting better. It's still not the best, but things are getting better. So it makes sense that Africa is doing right now. It's a lot of factors.
All right. So like you rightly said, I like how the fact you went back to the 90s because like you rightly said, a lot of people, especially, on Twitter Nigeria, they come and say, oh, Afrobeat to the world, Nigerian to the world, as if this thing just started with this new crop of, generation. And like I rightly said, we've had the likes of Sonia Ade that have, gone global. Even the likes of, what is called Fela Anikulapo Kuti, talk about Barista. A lot of free artists back then went international. So now, my question is this. Why is it that these days, when, let's say, a foreign artist decide to, probably vibe on the Nigerian music, we all go like, oh, yeah, like, we see it as if, okay, if this foreign artist or any foreign artist has not vibe or connect with your music, then what you've done is not huge, or what you've done doesn't make sense. Why do we have to always think in that line?
I don't think that's actually how people think. I think Nigerians are actually very, very ignorantly obsessed with ownership. So it's not like they're excited about other artists jumping on African music. They actually don't want other American, Canadian, European artists to jump on African music. They don't want. They actually don't. Look at what happened when Justin Bieber. You remember my tweet that I tweeted that you have this window to drop unnecessary lyrics. Look at what happened.
Okay.
Because that is just a reasonable thing. The people that vibe to African music, when it crosses over to like the UK Europe is a different ballgame entirely. Do you know why?
Exactly.
Ask me why.
Why? Because
there's a huge population of Africans, first and second generation, that have a strong identity and a strong resonance with their African roots in Europe. It's always been like that. So in the early 2000s, for example, you had a song like Premier Gaou. Like Premier Gaou charted in mainstream Europe as early as 2001, 2002. The same thing with Aguilu Lungomba. Like Premier Gaou was released in 1999, right? These guys were charting high. The reason is because people in France, in the UK, in Holland, Germany, Netherlands, like you will see a stronger base of Africans. That's why African music broke through in Europe far before it broke through in the US. Because America is 60-something, I think around 60-something% of America is white people, bro. Black people in America are less than 20%. I think they're even less than 15%. As of last time I checked. It is low. That's why Latin pop can break through faster because the Latin Americans, they outnumber Black people in America. That's why it took till now for hip hop to become the outright number one genre in America. It took till now. And why did it take till now? Because, bro, the guys that are vibing to that song, because those songs have found a way to incorporate elements of rock music. So those records are the new emo. That's why those records are breaking through. So it's easy for white people to be able to relate to them. So it brings me back to the conversation around Africa. If your record is blowing up, bro, Wizkid is not huge in America. I need Nigerians to understand that. Burna Boy is not huge in America. Not yet. Like, they are not Drake huge. Drake is 721. They are not Lil Baby huge. They can't pull money back Yo's number in America. It's not a slight. It's just the reality. It's not their country. So if those guys are going to do anything, they have to jump on the back of somebody. Like Essence itself. Look at the marketing that went into Essence. Look at the people that were jumping on Essence. Do you realize the caliber of people that were jumping on Essence? That's a marketing strategy that you wanted to use cosigns to promote the song by itself. So if you are seeing Kalidela vibe to this song, you are seeing Sawiti vibe to this song, you are seeing Kevin Hart talk about it, you are seeing people dance to it, you will be forced to listen. It's basic influencer marketing. It's like advertising. You are seeing it, so they're advertising it in your face. You are going to be forced to go listen to it because the song is also a fantastic record. So it appeals to you. They put it in your face, it appeals to you. Then when the song finally cracks it, which is an incredible achievement to get to number 54 by yourself. Bro, if there was no Justin Bieber on that record, it's not going to top 20.
At all.
It's not going to happen because Justin Bieber comes with the weight of a superstar. An established white American listenership.
Yeah. Presently, is even the most listened, pop artist on Spotify right now.
If you can't appeal to white America, your record is not going to get to top 20. If your record gets to top 20, it means it has scratched white America. That's what it means. Yeah. That means white America is listening because Black people might not be able to push a song to top 20. It's hard. The people that, if you want to make it in America and you want to be a superstar in America, you need white people to listen. And for white people to listen, you need someone with the established roots of white people. And it's not even just a Nigerian thing. It's not just an American thing alone. Look at when Cardi B wanted to blow up in Latin America with Alake. Who did she put on the record? J Balvin and fucking Bad Bunny. If Drake wants to make an Afrobeats record now that wants it to blow here, who is he going to put on the record? When Justin Bieber wanted to make Peaches remix, who did they put on it? Omale and Alpha P. It's simple reason. You are going to their country. You need them on your record.
That is definitely true.
It's simple. And if you see that you want to blow up in America, you don't want to blow up. If you want to blow up, you need to accept the realities. It's not your fatherland. But people also need to understand something. They are in the music business, not music fantasy, not music stanship on Twitter. So they need to shut the fuck up and listen first. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. These guys are signed to foreign record labels, bro. Record labels want to make money. And they know that if they can find a way to squeeze Afrobeats through the door, there's a hell of a lot of money that we can make, both there and even here for ourselves. If we're able to maximize it properly and use this wave to build an industry down here. All the majors are back here now for the first time since the 90s. All of them, they are back here now.
Yeah, they are.
So it shows you that capitalism is in full flow. If you are RCA Records, bro, do you think you have a record like Essence on your hands? Do you think you'll be satisfied with number 54 because we don't want them to jump on African music? Oh no. Let's leave the music there. No, we don't want them to. Leave it there.
All right.
Do you know the amount of money that they will make with Justin Bieber on the song? Please continue, Jared.
Definitely. All right. So now let's talk about the music itself now, because we're basically talking about the business side and what it does to get your music into the American market. Like you rightly said, for you to actually break into the American market, you need that standard American artist. I mean, the likes of the band have tried, the likes of Tobes have tried, and they've been able, let me say, succeed to a little extent, but the likes of Wizkid has now, taken it much more further. And those coming have to bank and capitalize.
Absolutely.
Now, the question is, let's leave the business side alone now, and let's talk about the music itself, the content of the music itself. how does it affect, those coming ahead? Because right now, the way it is in Nigeria, or the way it might, let me use that word, quote unquote, might be in Nigeria right now, is like every artist that might be releasing a song might be thinking, I want this song to go international. I want this song to get nominated for the Grammys. What does that take anything away from the originality of our sound?
I think it does, right? But to that conversation, there are two sides. On the positive side, you have to understand that when you create a sound, you can't own a sound, you can't own art, you can't own a genre, because music and art will go wherever it wants to go without you touching it. And the internet has sort of created this level playing ground on earth right now, where something placed in Nigeria might be in Fiji next day. Chike's Running was the number one song in Fiji. Did anybody see that coming? No, bro. Fiji. So what we are thinking about is Afro pop, as you know it now, is going to change. Like artists, people are going to reimagine it. Look at what has happened over the years. The genres that the genres that they have touched over the years. Dancehall is not what dancehall is anymore. Bashment is not what bashment is anymore. K-pop is not what K-pop is anymore. It's also a thing of you have to tweak it in a way to make certain audiences be able to relate to it. Like, for example, dancehall and Afrobeats are very similar, but the difference is that the percussion on Afrobeats is more aggressive and it's more dense. It's denser than on dancehall records. So if you are going to make an African record blow in the Caribbean, it might be hard to get a record like Naira Marley's Coming to blow in the Caribbean over Davido's Wizkid, because that record is more tailored to the audience. So if those guys are going to want to make jump on Afro pop, for example, they will tweak it a bit in a way that will suit the audience. The same thing for people in like other parts of the world. So I don't think it's a problem that people are going to reimagine and repurpose the sound. I just want anybody that's going to jump on the sound to go and give it, to not go and engage in Mongo backing and say that they created the sound. We did not create anything. Africa is the origin of that. That's the only thing I will have a problem with. If someone goes tomorrow and uses elements of Afro pop to create something that sounds different and saying, I created it. No, bro, shut the fuck up. You didn't create nothing. That Americans can do that. They can really do that. And I don't. That's the only thing I don't want to see. On the negative, that's one of the things on the negative side. But at the end of the day, the positivity outweighs the negativity, because the world is a global village. You can't keep a leash or keep a lead on what something is going to do. What I just want us to do, to be mindful of, is this: we shouldn't spit down on the things that are our own, because America is paying attention to us right now. That's the only thing I don't want us to do. The Grammys are the most desirable award in the world.
Definitely.
Right? But look, and at the end of the day, Afrobeat is going to get a Grammy category. But at the end, when push comes to shove, bro, it's probably going to be 4 categories all in all. We need to create an African award as well. Latin Americans have a Latin pop category. They have a Latin pop category. Caribbean people have a reggae dancehall category. We need to create an African music award, and we need to respect our own things. Because guess what? At the end of the day, this is a phase for America. Within 5 years, we don't know what America is going to be on. We don't know.
Definitely.
And we need to use it to build our own industry. Iron out the issues here, put our heads together, get funding in, and find a way to build structures that can stand the test of time in 50 years. So we can have something to show for this. It's not just that we have some artists blow up and had number one singles. It's very important.
So you've mentioned about, building our own industry, and that is where, my next question is going to come from. Now, with this, huge impact that, quote unquote, Afrobeat to the world is making in the Nigerian music industry, because in a way, whether we like it or not, we've seen a lot of talent come out, and the talent we are seeing these days, it's crazy. Just to put it that way. Now, how do you feel that we can actually, take this advantage and make sure that, okay, in the next 10 years, the Nigerian music industry is probably going to be, standing side by side, with the American music industry, if not side by side, but at least when they're looking at the top major music industry in the world, you'll probably find Nigeria in the top 5 somewhere. How do we, from where we are now, what are those steps, and who should be responsible for taking those steps to the next step?
So here's the harsh reality about this thing. First things first, I don't think America will ever be displaced as like the most desirable music hub in the world. I don't think it's ever going to happen. Look at it this way. The UK has like a fantastic music industry. They have certification, they have royalties, they have laws that are working, they have, if your song is playing on radio, the radio station is going to be paying you, all of that shit. The same thing in Asia, the same thing in Australia. But guess what? All the people that blew up in all of these countries still want to blow up in America. So even if our industry is fantastic today, people are still going to want to go and blow up outside Africa, because it's spreading your wings and opening yourself up to make more money, right? But on the other side, the things that we need to do is, I was talking to this lawyer. She works for Unoka Associates. Can't remember her name. Shout out to her. She's from a fantastic family of lawyers. She last year in a soon-to-be published interview, she was telling me that, and shout out to Fuza as well. What I was on a panel with her, what we need to do is we need a panel of informed people about the industry. Right now, the people that we have speaking for the industry don't know fuck all about this industry. I'm not just talking about the music industry, I'm talking the entertainment industry as a whole, right? Okay. We have a lot of mouthpieces who don't know what the fuck they're doing. So number one, we have a legal problem. Our copyright law are fault. Our copyright laws are fault. I'm a lawyer, I know. Our karma is fault. Right? Some of these laws are so backward that if you are in the know, your mind will be blown about how recidivist they are. So that's the number one thing. When we get that panel together, the panel can then look at some of these. Let there be lawyers, people from different parts of the industry. I was talking to Aldo Mekori last year, and he told me that shout out to PD, that PD Picasso tried to create a pyramid. We try to create a pyramid of a working industry where like every stakeholder in the industry has like, it's going to be an entire body. So the body is going to be administering things like awards, laws, collecting bodies, collective bargaining organizations, charting, certifications, all of these things you get. So until we are able to stop the bickering to make all these things come together, they are never going to happen. Because right now, everybody is just looking out for themselves. And I don't blame them. Dollar is 500 and what now? Dollar is really expensive. To buy a car in Nigeria now, Nawala. Self-interest has sort of risen because of the economic state of the country. But at the same time, if we keep postponing and I keep saying that the country is buying, let's keep buying for ourselves, we are never going to sit down to solve the problems the country confronts. But get it this way. Like the rapper AQ always says something that there's an industry in Nigeria. It just doesn't have the proper structure. So the only thing that we just need to do is we need to have a structure that works. Bro, we have collecting bodies. They're just not as functional as possible. And guess what? Some of the artists don't even know their rights. So it's an entire dysfunctional industry that can be solved by creating a body that can function. And from there, the body can tackle the problems one by one. Within 5 years, we can be a fantastic industry that's up and running. Trust me.
All right, within 5 years, you can be a fantastic industry that is up and running. Now, when you were talking the other time, you mentioned something, about the Grammy and the categories of the Grammy. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions based on that, because these days, at times on my Twitter feed, I used to see some people. It seems like if you are a Nigerian artist, let's say you are like a Davido, and let's say like an Olamide, for example, and you've not, gotten a Grammy nomination. Some people somewhere still see you like, oh, you've not got it. Like you don't deserve, quote unquote, the legend, status, or your music has not, is not enough yet. You need to do more. Now, the first question is this: does getting a Grammy nomination, does it take anything away from a Nigerian artist? That's number one. Then number 2, how important is getting or even winning a Grammy to the Nigerian music industry?
Those are 2 fantastic questions. The number 1 question, I'll tackle it this way. Getting a Grammy is definitely another feather to anybody's witness. Just like having a successful videos that others might not be able to create. It's a milestone. Like, let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah,
the Grammy Award is the most desirable music award in the world, right? It is. Plain and simple. Because America is the most desirable cultural hub in the world. Just like Nigeria is the most desirable cultural hub in Africa. Definitely. It's just how the world works. However, it is simply ignorant to place the onus of someone's greatness on the Grammy that they have won. Like, okay, look, let me give you an example. So, do you watch the NBA?
Not really.
Okay, so the rules in the NBA in the 90s is different. It's different from the rules from 2016 now. Then you could push people. Like there was something that the Detroit Pistons used to employ. They used to call it the Jordan rules. So anytime the rules were that anytime the Detroit Pistons were playing Michael Jordan, just don't let him jump. Before he jumps, they go kick him, they go punch. Anything goes. But right now, the rules have become softer. So the same thing goes for a Grammy. To get if you are from in the generation of Wizkid, Davido, Burna Boy, Olamide to Savage, there is a better chance to win a Grammy now because of the era that they grew into. The era that the band and Two-Face grew into, American music industry was not as ready for them as it was ready for the Wizkid when they were coming. And even the Wizkid said, this is Wizkid's second moon in American music. The first one did not go down well. If everybody remembers correctly, right? And even at that, a lot of these guys have to be signed to labels to be able to even get a chance, because labels do two things. Number one, labels have the financial muscle to push your records to the place where your records can get the nomination, right? They have the money to give you the branding and the type of marketing you need. That's one. Number two, they also have incredible influence within the Grammy committee. The Grammy committee itself, they're like about 8,000 members that they nominate they go into the preliminary rounds. But then there's another round. So those ones create a list of 20 songs or albums per category. Then there's a small circle of people that cut it down to 5 or 6 or 8 as it was 2 years ago, right? Those guys are made up of industry people, record label execs, industry people, A&Rs, like giants of global music. Those are the ones that are there. So if you are not signed to a foreign record label, it's not impossible, but it's going to be very, very, very hard for you to break through that category. You get what I mean? It's going to be very hard. There is context to the argument of it's either you have an argument of a Grammy or you don't have a Grammy. There's context to it. The only reason we are talking about we are talking about a Grammy for Made in Lagos now is because of Essence. If Essence hadn't happened, bro, the Grammy for Made in Lagos might not be feasible. Trust me.
Okay.
The commercial success of Essence changed everything in favor of Made in Lagos. It made it to the point where you can't avoid the album. So I was talking to the former head of global music category at the Grammys recently. And we had about a 3-hour conversation. He's a great friend of mine. And bro, it's made up of predominantly white people. And someone who is a former member of the academy told me recently that those guys are so particular that the idea of what African music represents is not what contemporary African music is. So that's why you see Burna Boy making a record like Wonderful. That's why you see him making an album like Twice as Tall that neglected Nigerian commercial success. He wanted to win the Grammy and he knew what he had to do. But so that's why when a person like me saying Made in Lagos as it was before Essence might not win a Grammy, it was because, bro, the people in the academy are looking at that. They are probably they are white people. They probably would have not gotten to it if it wasn't for Essence. They probably would have never listened to that album. These guys only listen to things in their hall. They only want to listen to country music and music from Nashville. Bro, so because of Essence right now, and guess why Essence is here? The incredible marketing behind Essence, bro. So the success has now pushed people to listen to this song. From the song, they then go to listen to the album. That's what we are saying now. It's not even just about a Grammy for the global music category for Essence anymore. There is a chance if Essence cracks like top 10, there's a chance that Essence might even get nominated outside the global categories because it's also suits the agenda because they want Afrobeats to succeed. And there is a number of people that will go to listen to Afrobeats records if Afrobeats gets a nomination in the major categories, even if it's urban contemporary or like the major 4. So back to the conversation of the Grammy now. You can't then say because Olamide doesn't have a Grammy, his career is smaller. The people that make those conversations as stance, they are stupid people. They don't know anything. They are stupid people. They are not the people that they don't have the opinions that you should be holding water. They don't even know what the fuck is going on. The only thing that is on their head, they are young guys. See, in 5 years, a lot of them, some of the arguments they're having now, we were there now. Do you want to see my old tweets? In 5 years, they will regret some of the conversations that they are having now when they have jobs and some of them have gotten married and they are making money. Like when they start making good money in their lives, a lot of them, they are kids. They don't know what. So right now they're only mirroring their lives through the lives of celebrities. So the only thing that they think the only way to make their face bigger is by shitting on other people. So if you want to shit on a Davido, for example, bro, Davido had an entire run with Fall. You can't say he has not done anything. Yes, when we are having a conversation at the end of their careers about greatness, if Wizkid wins a Grammy and Burna Boy wins a Grammy and Davido doesn't win a Grammy, we are going to count those things as plus points. You know what I mean? But if the other guys don't end up winning the Grammy, it's not the end of the world. There's also context to the arguments as to why they couldn't have won. And with the success of Essence right now, there's a chance that all of these guys are going to have Billboard hits very soon. Because Burna Boy will sign to Warner, Davido will sign to Sony, Tiwa Savage will sign to UMG. All of their Burna Boy will sign to Columbia, Wizkid will sign to RCA. The two of them are under Sony. Columbia will want Davido to have a Billboard hits. Atlantic will want Burna Boy to have a Billboard hits. UMG will want Tiwa Savage to have a Billboard hits. That's how our industry is going to benefit from this move. So coming back to your second question, which is, what was the second question again? I think I sort of forgot it.
How important is getting or even winning a Grammy to the Nigerian music industry?
I mean, it does, bro, because like the example I was giving the other time. So the what Essence is going to do now for Africa is that it's going to give it more of an identity within the American mainstream. And there's going to be there wasn't an expectation before with the American mainstream. When I say American mainstream, I know young white people who listen to trap music, right? Who make trap music go big, like people that listen to BTS. That means they might have an expectation for African Afrobeat. That means there is more money coming indirectly. It means there's more money coming into African music. And like it or not, that's a good thing. And it also means that a lot of labels are going to be invested in getting the next Wizkid. So a lot of young artists are going to get picked up. And the good thing is also that labels they're going to realize now that we have a lot of talented rappers, drill artists, alternative singers, all of them in Nigeria. Right, so a lot of over the next 20 to 25 years, some of that African artists are going to be playing stateside and not just going to be making Afro pop. And I even think that it's not just Nigerian music, it's African music, because we're going to see other genres, other pop dance genres across Africa have their day in American music. So it's a good thing because the energy is going to come back here in terms of like the units, right? The units and like financial gains. But only us can turn this into a successful run in terms of building an industry. If we like the face of American music is on us, there's a lot of money in Nigerian music. Not a lot of money, but there's better increased amount of money in circulation in African music industry because a lot of foreign companies are coming here and they're pumping money, right? So that's why the average boy can release an EP and get $5,000, $10,000 for it, something that he might not have gotten in his life. So we are the ones that can make sure that this pays our industry long term. If we are mindful of it, someone has to think. Me, I'm trying my best, but at the end of the day, the other people that can actually make things happen, are they also interested or are they about their selfish interests? I remember very recently when Turntable Charts, I don't want to review this, but I'm going to review it. I'm going to review a part of it. Turntable Charts was they're getting a chart up in Nigeria. We don't have a charting system. And you can't believe that some people are trying to tear Turntable Charts down. You see how stupid we are in this country? Do you see how stupid we are? Like, we don't have a charting system. A bunch of young people are trying to create it. But because you think that you might not be able to control it, you are trying to sabotage it. Like, people are useless in this country, in this industry. They are selfish. So these are the problems. People have selfish interests. And until we fix that, there's going to be problems. This is issue.
All right. So, on the last question that is going to be, surrounding the Grammys and all that, like you rightly mentioned, Wizkid is onto a foreign label, and no doubt, like I rightly told someone earlier on when we were having this conversation about, the deluxe version of Made in Lagos, and I said, for me personally, I feel like the deluxe was because of, the success that Essence was having. And obviously they knew that, making the album seem brand new again would definitely push for a Grammy and all that. And like you rightly mentioned, Burna Boy, Tiwa Savage, all those that are signed to a foreign record label, they will also want their artists, to enter the Billboard 100, whatever chart that is running at point. Now, my question is this. With the so much success that Essence is having at the moment, are you scared or are you worried that there might be a situation whereby every record label will want their artists to create something similar?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people are going to try to copy it. It's not just an African thing either. It's just people jump on the successful trend. Especially if there's another song from another African artist that is slightly in the mode of Essence, that goes on to succeed on the Billboard autumn, is going to be Essence is going to automatically become a template for a lot of records. Like it's happened across the world, right? When Terry was making music, everybody wanted to make songs that sound like Terry. When Zlatan was making street up, everybody wanted to make street up. So it's just what it is. It's just the way of life. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just the reality of the music industry. What I just don't want is, I don't want it to create a subconscious fake standard for us in terms of hits, so that we don't limit ourselves to just one sound. Because let's face it, Essence is an R&B record. It just has a ball. It's an R&B record. It just has a ball. So if that's what we are all going to be doing, then it's going to harm us, because it means that we're not going to be experimenting. But I don't doubt that labels will try to recreate a sound like Essence. I really don't, but it's going to happen easily. It's going to happen. And a lot of labels are even going to try to get people that sound like Thames. So people like Fave, Sony, Johnny, all those Arasta, they should be very happy about this. Record labels are going to be on their asses if they are not on their asses already. So it's a good thing, I think.
Let's quickly touch on Thames for a little bit. I mean, with the success that she's enjoying from Essence, I don't think in our wildest dreams she would have dreamed this success would be this much. But don't you feel like since when that record dropped till now, don't you feel like she has not really done much personally? I mean, I don't think she has probably dropped any singles since then till now. It's just been, riding on the Essence success. What about she, capitalizing on it and say, oh, let me drop a new music, let me drop a new music video, something to actually put her as a standalone artist. What do you think about that?
So Thames is signed to a major. I'm not allowed to say much at this time. From what it looks like, it feels like Thames is in development.
Okay.
So, right. So there are a bunch of RCA, for example, who is known for a lot of this. There's a girl called Gina Dadin currently who signed to RCA. Like Thames, she writes and produces her own music. She mixes, engineers her own music herself, like Thames as well. So, like when Tunji, shout out to Tunji Balogun, who is going to become the new CEO of Def Jam Music, who is a fantastic A&R. So it feels like he likes to, like any other A&R, even if it's Steven Victor, for example, who is senior VP of A&R Universal, they like to create their artists and make them, like, they have to be ready for the market when they're big. Like with the Thames, for example, what do you think Thames should do right now? Bro, that's a $1 million question. Nobody can answer that. Nobody can answer that. So it's important that the girl is not rushed right now. Let her take her time, because what she does next must make sense. If it doesn't make sense, then there might be a problem. That's why Thames, they can't just release anything. They don't just have to be sure about the sound of the music. They have to be sure about what they want her to look like. They have to be sure about what they want her to wear. They have to be sure about her brand. They have to be sure about the marketing strategy and the audience to market her to. Those things are very important. So it's not just about making music. They are not signed to a Yahoo Boys record label for marketing. So, like a lot of thought goes into, like, look at the way, have you seen Chloe Bailey?
Yeah.
You've seen Chloe Bailey. You've seen the way they are branding Chloe Bailey. Like Chloe Bailey's solo career, the rollout of Chloe Bailey's solo career has taken 1 year, bro. This is started in the middle of lockdown. They opened a fresh account for her. They created an identity for her. Like you can literally see that there is a board somewhere where they have marked it out. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, month 1, month 2. Like you can see that there's a plan in that thing. I think that's what they're trying to do in terms as well. I'm not saying that they're trying to make her into an artist like Chloe Bailey. I'm saying like a plan like that looks like it has been mapped for Thames. That's why you're not seeing anything. I have faith that when it finally happens, I think it's going to be really good. I think everybody should just be patient. When they are ready, they should release it. If they are not ready, let them do it, to be honest.
All right, so let's try to round up the conversation with just this last question. The Nigerian music industry, where do you see it in the next 5 years?
That's a $1 million question, bro. That's a $1 million question. What I hope is, I really hope that in the next 5 years, it's not just Afro-pop artists that are blowing up in the world, quote and unquote. I really want the trap and the drill boys and the rappers to also have their moves in the diaspora. But more importantly, I just want there to be a semblance of a proper structure in the Nigerian music industry. It's a long shot because a lot of people are thinking for themselves. I even heard recently that like that the government disseminated money for the music industry during the lockdown, and a lot of people didn't even know. So those are the things we are facing in the Nigerian music industry. Until those things happen, I hope that we are going to have found, we might have found the industry at the time. It's just not set in stone that we will have found it. So we don't help us.
All right. Thank you very much, Motolani, for being on the podcast. I really, really appreciate this. Has been a very, very educative and informative, fact-only episode. On last note, is there any on the ground Nigerian artists, just mention two that you feel we should pay attention to? Just two.
I think people should go and listen to the new girls, man. I can't mention just two. I think the new girls are amazing, and I think the people should give them a chance. I can't mention any names because I'm going to be leaving out a lot of names, regardless of how many names I mention. But I think people should go and listen to Duni. I think they should look for our forthcoming album. I think people should pay attention to this girl called Sunny. She's still very raw, but it looks like she's going to have a day in the mood. And Arasta's album is fantastic. The album is going to age like fine wine. So I think people should really pay attention to those people. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Hope we can get to do this another time.
All right, man. Thank you very much for having me. Have a nice one. Shout out to your listeners on YouTube.
All right. With that, I have come to the end of another episode of the Chacha Let's Talk Music series on the Chacha Music Review podcast, which is now being brought to you by Absolute Art Media, your number one online media and digital marketing agency. So I come here with another episode. My name remains Hafeestonova, aka your musical blog, creator of the Energy Force. Peace out.
Time for the Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Rocking with the best, Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Alaye with Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. What's in my body, Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Cha-Cha gang. What's in my body?